Blue bloods, keys to repository. The, the repository files. The following documents you're about to read contain top secret and classified information concerning the history of the Blue Bloods. These records were compiled and maintained by Conduit Renfield, the repository's longest-serving historian, along with higher-ranking scribes and their interns. The committee employs a secret underground network of wardens, mentors, conduits, and interns to keep their members safe, and also to keep track of their actions and whereabouts. In Blue Bloods, or Repository Record 101, Mimin Forces said of the Committee of Wardens, "It was eerie how they knew so much about you, almost as if they were always there, watching." And she was right. Once upon a time, in paradise, the fall and rise of the Blue Bloods. It was the beginning of the end. Lucifer, the Prince of Heaven and Morning Star, the most beautiful angel of all time, became so enamored with his own beauty and power that he came to believe his light was as great as the Almighty, and that the throne should be his and his alone. And so he gathered his loyal army of angels for the war to end of all wars, and with swords blazing, trumpets blasting, and hellfire in his heart, he came to claim that this was not his to claim. The battle was a day of black smoke and searing flame, clashing swords and cracking whips. Alas, with victory in Lucifer's grasp, as the crucial moment to deliver the crushing blow, the twin angels of the apocalypse, Abaddon and Azrael, his most loyal lunatics, stayed their hand. They betrayed the Morning Star and lent to the golden sword of Michael instead, turning the tide of battle. But it was too late to save themselves. All the rogue angels were banished from heaven. They walked to the cold of earth as immortals, condemned to walk the world forever, and crushed until the end of days to feed on the blood of their human brethren. They were once Where once they were angels, they were now vampires. Angels of death, fire, and death. Soulless creatures, bereft of light and love, with the immortal blue blood running through their veins. But they were not without hope. Gabriel, the victorious, out of love for her people, chose to descend with them to bring a ray of light to the damned. She was joined by her mate, the mightiest of them all, Michael, pure of heart, who could not bear to spend eternity apart from her. Gabriel and Michael were called the uncorrupted, vampires by choice instead of sin. Together, Gabriel and Michael established the Code of the Vampires, a foundation of rules that would govern the community through the centuries and helped them to forge a way back to the glorious home in paradise. The life circles of the vampires were coordinated to match a human lifetime, so the vampires followed the rites of life, expression, death, expulsion, and reincarnation, evolution. But Lucifer and his minions remained contemptuous of their fall from paradise, They had no desire to regain God's grace or to live by the code. They preyed on their fellow vampires, feeding on their blood and memories, until they became beings of chaos and misery and delirium. Their blood turned silver, and they were called Corbetan, the Silver Bloods. For a time, there was unsubdued and controlled by the power of the uncorrupted, but for centuries served as the blue blood slaves, that is, until the day its slaves rose up against their masters in a merciless slaughter. Thus did mature declare war against Lucifer and his followers, seeking revenge and bringing death and havoc to his enemies. The war culminated in a final battle in ancient Rome, where Cassius Michael unmasked the enemy, unmasked the emperor Caligula, who was revealed to be Lucifer himself. Michael sent Lucifer into the fires of hell by the point of his golden sword, forever locking him behind an impenetrable gate. After Rome for millennia, the blue bloods lived in relative safety. However, every 100 years or so, rumors persisted of attacks on young vampires in Venice, Florence, Barcelona, and Cologne. But information was inconclusive and later suppressed. Raw intents and purposes, the community believed the silver bloods had been destroyed. Distressed by the rise of religious persecution in Europe in the 7th century, of a coven of blue bloods, crossed to America, looking for peace. But the ancient evil followed them there, with a rash of mysterious disappearance at Plymouth. A few years later, their entire settlement and Roanoke was taken, with no clue as to their whereabouts, except for a lone message Corrigan nailed on a tree. During this time of chaos in Plymouth, John Carver, the angel Metatron, called for a white vote to challenge the leadership and gain the title of Regis of the Coven. John and his wife, Catherine Carver, the angel Seraphil, were convinced that the Silver Bloods had never been fully vanquished, and that a traitor, Silver Blood, was hiding among the ranks, and one of their own was corrupted. John Carver indicted for vigilance and an investigation, but Miles Standish, the Archangel Michael, was equally passionate in his belief that Silver Bloods no longer walked the earth. For the first time in Blue Blood history, there was a disagreement within the conclave of elders, but John Carter lost in the white vote, as the conclave chose Miles Standish, thereby confirming their faith in Michael once again. The Carvers lost their governing position in the conclave, the lone opposing voice silenced under the rigid iron-fisted rule. As the years went by, the Blue Bloods grew confrontable, satisfied, fearless, and proud. They amassed vast wealth and influenced the new world that rivaled the grand places and vampires had built on the old. The Silver Bloods had neither been seen nor heard from since Roanoke. As far as the ruling conclave was concerned, Corrigan were a myth, but existed legislated out of Blue Blood history. In New York City, the conclave leadership established the committee under whose aegis the vampires ran the board of trustees of New York Blood Bank. Among their educational institutions and charitable causes, as the Blue Bloods continued to advance their mission to bring art, light, truth, and justice to the human world.